Giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone, as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings unto the 144,000, as well as the rest of the elect. This is Brother Taza Pie here with you again with the daily lunch special, and today we're going to be serving up some necessary modernization, all right? And this is a term which they're giving to this coming digital financial system, all right? And that's your digital currency, which is going to lead to the MOTB, which is prophesied in Revelation, the 13th chapter. Now, to show you how the Spirit is rolling in 2026, all right, at camp last night, we covered the entire chapter of Revelation 13, from chapter 1 all the way down to the 18th verse, all right? And we did a pretty comprehensive breakdown into that chapter, all right? And how the Spirit working today, this morning, the same brother who kicked off camp, Yaquar, he posted this video right here, which is titled, "They Passed It. Digital Currency Act Takes Effect This Weekend," which was Saturday night, all right? So, the Digital Currency Act is law. It is now law, all right? And just by the Spirit, we didn't know this. Maybe he did. I didn't, all right? But if he did, he would have spoke on it last night, you know? And that would have been the perfect time to say, man, they passed that act Saturday. But, you know, and this is what Esau wants. Now they putting this Epstein shit out there, and this, you got 100,000 Epstein video. Everybody's a goddamn private investigator and journalist, and they want to tell you about Epstein. And half of you motherfuckers, when we was telling you, y'all didn't want to believe it. Now everybody, and not everybody, but you got a lot of people, now they turn into investigative journalists and shit. They want to tell you about Epstein, but what that does for the algorithm is it buries the more important topics or videos. You see? And that's what Esau likes. And then that's a part of why. And somebody has said, you know, I'm trying to remember, I forget who it was, but they said, you know, whenever they do this type of, you know, they dump this much on you. I forget who said that, but he was saying that, and that's true. They're looking for you to get fatigued or just fed up with it and say, man, I'm sick of this shit, you know, just get tired of it. Or to overwhelm you. But what that actually is, which I don't know if anyone is talking about it, all right, when they do something like that, that's a psychological operation, all right? And they put all this stuff out here, and they telling you what's being done, but not telling you who's doing it. That's a psyop, or a psyop. Yeah, they psyching you out. When they telling you, oh, there's so-and-so did this, that, and the third, then murdered, and then ate. And that's traumatizing your soul and your spirit. But then the name is redacted, so you don't know who it is, and this might be your boss. But anyway, see, they want to bury the real news under all of this, which the Epstein shit is very important, because it's coming out that this and what's been going on at that island is what's been running the world. And again, the prophets have been telling you that. But even I didn't know the extent of the operation and the extent of Epstein's influence and power. All right. This man rubbed elbows with Rothschilds and other names you don't even know of, but you ain't even heard of. And, you know, not just like as a flunky, maybe not the Rothschilds, but I don't know, but they enlisting his services for advice. What the hell? Oh. So, a lot of stuff is coming out, and it is important, but how much more important, your future. All right, so the brother Jaquari posted this, which, again, we went into the entire chapter, and then the Spirit laid this on us, which this video came out Thursday. All right, and he was setting it up for the weekend, and so he said by Saturday, the Digital Act it's a wrap. So I'm going to let him tell it, and we're going to get a few scriptures.
They passed it. While you were sleeping, while you were watching the game, while you were scrolling through social media and arguing about politics, the legislation that financial privacy advocates have warned about for years was quietly signed into law. The Digital Currency Modernization Act goes into effect this weekend, Saturday at midnight, less than 72 hours from now. And when you wake up Sunday morning, the America you knew will be fundamentally different. The financial freedom you took for granted will be gone. The ability to transact privately, to hold wealth outside the digital surveillance system, to use cash without restriction, will be legally curtailed in ways most people still do not understand. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. This is not some future threat that might materialize someday. This is happening right now, this weekend. The bill passed the Senate at 11:47 p.m. last Thursday in a voice vote with no recorded roll call, no debate, no amendments, no publicity. The House had already passed it 3 weeks earlier in a late-night session buried beneath coverage of a presidential scandal. The president signed it Monday morning in a private ceremony with no press present. The White House released a single-paragraph statement calling it a necessary modernization of our financial infrastructure for the digital age. Necessary modernization, that is what they call the end of financial privacy. That is how they describe the most comprehensive surveillance expansion in American history. That is the euphemism for a system that will track every dollar you spend, every purchase you make, every transaction you conduct. Starting this weekend, the mainstream media has barely covered it. A few paragraphs in the business section, a brief mention on the financial networks, nothing on the front pages, nothing leading the evening news. They do not want you to understand what is happening until it is too late to resist, but you are watching a finance reality, and I am going to tell you exactly what this law does, exactly how it restricts your freedom, and exactly what you need to do before Saturday midnight to protect yourself. The clock is ticking. The window is closing, and the America of financial privacy is about to end. Welcome to Finance Reality. Let me show you what they just did with your money. Let me walk you through the legislation. Let me show you exactly what the Digital Currency Modernization Act contains and why it represents the most significant change to American money since the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. The bill is 847 pages long. I have read every page. Most members of Congress have not. Section 101 establishes the legal framework for a central bank digital currency, a digital dollar issued directly by the Federal Reserve. This is not new. We knew CBDC was coming, but the implementation details are far more aggressive than anyone anticipated. The digital dollar will be mandatory for all federal payments starting January 1st. Social Security, federal employee salaries, tax refunds, veterans benefits, Medicare reimbursements. All of it will be paid exclusively in digital dollars deposited to digital wallets. No more paper checks. No more direct deposit to your bank account. A new Federal Reserve digital wallet tied to your Social Security number will be the only way to receive federal payments. But Section 101 is just the foundation. Section 203 is where the surveillance begins. All digital dollar transactions will be recorded on a Federal Reserve ledger. This ledger will be accessible to the Treasury Department, the IRS, the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and any other federal agency with a legitimate law enforcement purpose. The definition of legitimate law enforcement purpose is deliberately vague. It essentially means any purpose the government decides is legitimate. Every purchase you make with digital dollars will be tracked. Every payment you receive will be logged. Every transfer between accounts will be recorded. The government will have complete visibility into your financial life. But wait, you might be thinking, I will just use cash. I will just use my bank account. I will opt out of the digital dollar system. That is where Section 307 comes in. Section 307 establishes new restrictions on cash transactions. Starting this weekend, any cash transaction over $600 must be reported to FinCEN within 24 hours. The business accepting the cash must record your name, your address, and your identification number. The previous threshold was $10,000. They just lowered it to $600. At $600, virtually any significant cash purchase triggers a federal report. A used appliance, a piece of furniture, a car repair, a medical bill, a family dinner at a nice restaurant. Cash is not banned outright. That would be too obvious. Instead, it is burdened with reporting requirements so onerous that most businesses will simply refuse to accept it. This is how liberty dies. Not with an outright prohibition, but with regulation so burdensome that compliance becomes impossible, and the prohibited behavior simply stops. Section 312.
So, bam to that. They gonna regulate the dollar out of existence. All right, by putting so much harsh and heavy regulations on, for these companies to accept dollars, that they'll just stop accepting it because it'll become non-profitable, for lack of a better term. So they're positioning cash to where cash, which was always king in America, I don't know about anywhere else, but well, if you're old enough, you would remember hearing the term cash is king. It was another one I'm trying to remember. It was something, I can't remember the correct term, but now, instead of cash being king, cash is becoming, this government is structuring cash as a burden. All right. So, like he said, instead of the government just outlawing cash, they're going to make it to where the companies, regulate it out of existence. Which, there's very few mom and pops, brick and mortars. Most of the stuff is corporate now. So, you will see an immediate, in a lot of the stuff that you use and the places that you shop, you'll see an immediate change because most of it is in the corporate structure. All right. But, all right, now you can see how Revelation 13 and 16 is coming into play. All right, and this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." All right, so right, he's going to cause all by way of, let me jump up here, because this is legislation in America. This is concerning us here in America. Other places like China and so forth, some other countries, they've already instituted this, or the digital currency, or the CBDC, which Trump said, oh, there won't be no CBDC. And at Great Millstone here, we knew he was lying. All right? So now they just passed the Digital Currency Act. Why? For a CBDC. And then they go from the CBDC to MOTB. All right? And if you don't know those acronyms, the CBDC is the Central Bank Digital Currency, all right, which is going to segue into the MOTB, which is the mark of the beast, which we're reading about here, all right? So now, I'm jumping up to verse 11. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." All right. This is how he's causing all, by speaking as a dragon. He's going to legislate this new system into place. All right. So to tell me I have to use, and I was listening to, I forget the lady's name, but she's, let's see. But she's an economist. She started in investment banking. I can't remember this lady's name, but she was saying, yeah, you don't even think of it as a currency. It's not a currency. It's a system of control. You understand? Because it's not, for it to be currency, it has to be free flowing like a current. electricity. That's what money was patterned after, because money is an energy. All right? And as an energy, it needs to circulate. All right? Well, you see everybody suffering because Esau is hoarding the real money. All right? And he's just printing fiat and got us using that and trading that and calling that currency or money. All right? But it's not. But real money is a form of energy. All right? So in other words, if I'm sitting here, I got $1 million, I want to get a house, I can use that, I can turn that $1 million into a house. All right? And I'm not talking about buying one, but I'm saying I can take that money, I can employ men, and have me a house built. Now, the actual building of the house takes energy. You know? So why are all these men willing to give up their energy to build me a house? Because I'm offering a piece of this $1 million. And so that's what we do at work. We trade our energy for dollars. You know? So the speaking as the dragon, first of all, this beast is America. This beast coming up out of the earth is America, which had the two horns like a lamb because of its two-party political structure of the Republicans and the Democrats. And it said, and he spake as a dragon through draconian legislation. All right. So if I'm working, I accumulate money. It's not for the government's job to tell me when, where, how, anything to do with the money that I earned. All right? That's draconian to tell you, well, you can't use money. And anyway, you could also barter. Hey, look, I cut your yard, for such and such, so, give me something to eat. Or you might have a cool landlord, and then you say, I'm a little short this week. Could you let me do this, that, and the other to make it up? And he might be cool, say, yeah. Or he might need the money and say, no, I need that money. But barter is a form of, or trade and exchange. People do that all the time, trading. But this is the thing, they want to take away all of that. And in doing so, they're taking away human interaction. So, all right, when we read in 16, and he calls it all right, he's going to legislate it. Now, the system is in play. The digital system, they got the AI ready, the 5G, and about to be going into 6G. They got the infrastructure is ready. Okay? So when they shut down the current system, or once they implement this, as he said, January the 1st, all right, what you gonna do? It won't be nowhere accepting cash. So he's causing you, to receive this mark. But right now, for now, it's going into the digital system. The digital system is going to turn into a microchipped system, where the people will be microchipped. You will no longer need real ID or any of this other shit they're talking about that you need. And everything will be recorded, stored, on your personal microchip. All right. They want to give you a personal microchip with your own personal number, and they can keep track of every single thing that you do. All right. So, yeah, he calls it all. This is verse 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right. That mark is the microchip. And what does it say? Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, right, because they're outlawing cash money. You know? So you, Jake, ain't gonna be able to take them pictures no more with the stacks of cash to your head, or the money on money sleeve. Y'all won't be able to make money sleeves and all of that, or you ain't gonna go to the strip club and make it rain. Y'all ain't be doing none of that nigga shit no more. Esau cutting out all that balling and all that shit. Everybody. That's why I said he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. They bringing everybody on the same level. This is why the middle class is systematically being destroyed since 2008. With the housing market crisis, the banking crisis. So, yeah, you seeing, and that's draconian. And get this, it ain't gonna stop there. Consequences are coming behind this. All right. So right now they're making it seem, oh yeah, it's gonna cost you more, and they're gonna tax you here and tax you there. But look, it's gonna get down to, all right, with those that don't want to comply. Look at Revelation 2. So for those who don't want to comply, you don't want to play ball, right? You see this shit for what it is, and you say, nah, I don't want to be a part of that. No, I don't want that. Okay, here we go. This is Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. All right, proven, tested. You say, oh, you sure you don't want this mark? With that guillotine blade hanging over your neck. You sure? You don't want to take another thought, a little time to rethink it? They're going to prove you, they're going to test you. They're going to try you. It says, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death. Why is the Lord saying be faithful unto death? Right, because they taking you in there to try you with death. They're going to try you with death. See, if you really about that life, or you really don't want this mark, that's why Apostle's saying, and I already see it. Y'all going to take that mark. Not, brothers in Great Millstone, no. But, you got a lot of people, and even some people I talk to, and I tell them, yeah, everything is fixing to go digital. I ain't taking no mark. That's the first thing, because, right, off the bat, it sounds ridiculous, but they act as if they're going to be given a choice. You will not have a choice. And since you didn't spend no time with Yahushua, you're going to take it. If you don't know Yahushua, you taking that mark. So this how bad that mark is. And this is Revelation 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of what? Of his patience. The Lord said, my patience. So he said, because you kept the word of my patience. All right? This is the Lord speaking to those who kept his word. It said, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. But get this, it said, which shall come upon all the world to try them. And what did we just read? Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison to try you. All right? So they're going to get some of us in these concentration camps, these FEMA camps, these ICE detention centers. And they're going to be trying to get busy. But the Lord said, no, but see, because you kept the word of my patience, I'm going to keep you from the hour of temptation. All right. And as I said, when they offer you that mark, those of you who think you're going to resist, they're going to try you. You will be tested. All right. And all you who devoted your time to sweet Jesus and to Allah, you getting marked. You getting marked. Esau ain't gonna let you run around here willy-nilly. That's the whole purpose of this. Why would he spend all of this money, time, effort to put this system together to give you an option? He ain't doing this shit to give you an option. You see how Trump is acting? In his mindset, he's behaving as a dictator. You can easily see the speaking of the dragon part coming into full fruition. You can clearly see that. Oh, you can't have cash. I can't have no cash. But wait for the repercussion, for lack of a better term, that's going to come behind it. All right, and that's really going to turn it draconian. So the Lord said, yeah, it's going to come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right, heathen and saint alike. Everyone's going to be tested. All right, and actually, this is a mark for the world. But we are not to be in the world, right? So, but that's pretty much it. Let's see that. Yep. Yeah, that's it right there. I'm going to close it right there. But yes, we are here. It took my video. Okay, it's running slow. But yes. Okay, yeah, they passed it.
Prohibited behavior.
I'm going to post this link. Y'all got to check this out. All right. You got to check this video out. Right. They passed it. Digital Currency Act takes effect this weekend, which was this past the Super Bowl weekend, nonetheless. All right. They passed it on Super Bowl weekend, and, keeping true to Esau's nature. And you heard him mention the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which was passed on a holiday, Christmas holiday, when Congress was out of session. They snuck and passed it. It's like that's his MO. It's like they snuck and passed this last Thursday, and it went into effect Saturday at midnight, and they wanted to creep under the radar till January 1st. But this is why the prophets are out here. We're going to put this on blast. We've been putting it on blast. All right? They want to catch you like a deer in headlights, totally unsuspecting. But right, we watching. Prophets is watching as well as praying. So to the next one, y'all stay up. Much love. Shalom.